China's President Xi is hosting Russia's Vladimir Putin, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Beijing. The leaders are set to attend a military parade commemorating the end of World War II after a high-stakes summit. That summit could have major ramifications for the U.S., especially with India frustrated over President Trump's new tariffs. Let's bring in foreign correspondent Britt Clennett in Beijing, along with ABC News contributor, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy. Britt, just start us off with the latest from this summit. What's happening now?
Hi, Diane. Well, Russian leader Vladimir Putin met with Chinese President Xi Jinping a little earlier. That's on the eve of this big military parade. And they said their relationship, they described it as at an unprecedented level. Putin even described Xi as a dear friend. That's something we've heard from him before. And Chinese state media said relations were exemplary. Russia is going to increase supplies of gas to China, while Beijing will offer visa-free travel to Russians during a year-long trial. So, yes, their relations are getting closer and closer. Reports also suggesting, as you mentioned a little earlier, Diane, that Kim Jong-un is here at his train seen pulling up into Beijing. This is a very rare trip outside of North Korea for that reclusive leader. And we were driving along Beijing's Chang'an Avenue near Tiananmen Square a little earlier. Security was extremely tight, so we couldn't even actually get out the car. But what we could see is under that iconic picture of Mao Zedong at Tiananmen Square, a red carpet had been rolled out, and it's on that platform that President Xi will stand side by side with Putin and Kim. And look, I think it's going to be an extraordinary photo op for these two leaders, and will prompt many, though, to consider whether their new world order that they've been touting has already begun. In the heart of the capital here in Beijing, Diane, everything is on lockdown, with schools and businesses all over the parade area. They've been shut, and even for us media, as I mentioned earlier, a whole slew of restrictions are in place too. It is very clear that officials are taking no chances of spoiling Xi Jinping's grand day.
Mick, what message do you think they're trying to send to the United States and its allies with this summit?
So, Diane, although there's been many of these summits, this one's getting a lot of attention because it's very clear that the leaders really want to push back against the U.S. and what they consider the over-influence that we have on the world stage. And this, of course, also included India, which is the largest democracy in the world. And it was clear that they are growing their relationship with Russia, with China, and that they intend to make sure that it continues. They're doing things like agreeing to have a developmental bank, agreeing to work together on AI, and of course, the security and political advancement. So this is getting attention of a lot of people in the United States, right here in D.C., because this is something we've always been concerned about, the growing relationship between these key countries.
Britt, more than 20 world leaders are expected to attend this military parade in Beijing. What are you watching for there?
Yeah, so that includes the leaders of Iran, Malaysia, Myanmar, Mongolia, Zimbabwe, other Central Asian countries. Most of these are non-NATO countries. Many of them are facing high U.S. tariffs. And China is hoping to show that it can kind of be this reliable alternative to President Trump's uncertainty and the threats that he's unleashed on these countries. So China's kind of seeing it as its move. It's time to move in. And, as Mick mentioned earlier, she has also managed to entice Narendra Modi, the leader of India, to come to China for the first time in 7 years. That's despite their border disputes. Their relationship now does seem kind of turbocharged. And you only have to look at that cozy body language that we saw, those warm smiles between Modi and Putin, to see, how the Indian leader is kind of turning his nose up at Trump's threats over Russia's oil supply. So it's going to be interesting to see how Trump reacts to seeing those three leaders on stage, and as Mick said earlier, the cozying up of those leaders.
And Mick, Prime Minister Modi is calling on Putin to end the war in Ukraine. Do you expect this summit to have any effect on Putin's posture there?
No, I mean, I think most countries would call on ending the war in Ukraine, but the question is, including from our own country, what are we willing to do to stop it? India and China are one of the biggest consumers of Russian energy, which is how he funds the war. So unless they actually do something to get themselves off of that, it's not really helping just to make statements about ending the war. There needs to be action from all involved, at least for those who would like to see the war come to an end.
All right, Britt Clennett, Mick Mulroy, thank you.